This episode is brought to you by North Texas Honda Dealers. North Texas Honda Dealers, they're here to help.
He has time, launches it to the end zone. Touchdown! Terrence Williams!
The throw goes to the right side for Crabtree. It's caught. He he's going hard. Red Raider.
Wesley up the 10. Wesley up the right sideline. Youngie's got to go. He's tackled. Sam Houston wins it. The Bearcats capture their first FCS championship.
Hello and welcome to the Republic of Football. I'm your host, the college editor, here at Dave Campbell's Ishmael Johnson, alongside Carter Yates. What's up, man?
I'm trying really hard not to think about the fact that we are winding down the regular season in college football.
What, 2 weeks to go?
2 weeks to go.
This is crazy.
This is when the most important football is played, though. So we've got the best stuff in front of us.
The best is yet to come, but it still also means that it's also coming to an end.
What did Jelly Roll say? The windshield is bigger than the rearview mirror for a reason.
He was spitting.
That was so awesome when he said that.
He was spitting at the CMAs. The reason why you can hear us and see us is, of course, everyone's favorite Mallory Hartley. Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
You doing good?
I'm doing fine. Thank
Okay.
you.
Just making sure.
Thanks for asking.
Are you
Yeah.
sure? All right.
Just making sure. All right.
I'm turning both your mics off.
Oh, no!
I'm just asking how you're doing. Wow.
It's very nice of you, and I said I'm fine.
Okay. All right. Just trying to clarify. Okay. On today's show, we're going to talk a little bit about, nothing changed in the playoffs, so it's not really much to talk about. We're going to talk a little bit about the playoff and kind of the scenarios left from a Texas perspective, obviously, because things are starting to, I don't want to say it's still holding firm, right? But like every scenario that could get them in is still on the table. So
it's kind of like every week, it's the Jenga towers getting taller,
right,
but more wobbly.
Right, exactly. It's like you know exactly what like the pieces that are unstable, and you're just trying to like the playoffs kind of like avoiding those because it's like eventually you got to pull them, right? Mm-hmm. Eventually you got to pull the one that you're afraid is going to topple, and we'll talk about that in a bit. We'll go into the power poll as well, but then of course we're going to talk a little bit about Quinn Ewers because some little reports, rumors bubbling to the surface that he may be coming back for 2024. We'll see. A lot of people kind of penciled him in for at least the NFL. I wouldn't say he would have transferred anywhere, but I think for the NFL because, of course, who's behind him. We'll talk about that in a bit. But first, let's talk about the playoff a little bit. Things were revealed last night, of course, on ESPN. The only change was that Georgia jumped Ohio State to be number one, which, of course, if things stand pat, of course they won't because Ohio State and Michigan have to play. But if things stand pat, that means Georgia would play a Florida State, and then Ohio State, Michigan, theoretically, in this scenario, would play in the other semifinal game. Of course, Washington, Oregon still at 5 and 6, and then Texas comes in at number 7. I believe that is still the lone Texas school. I think that
ranked, yes.
Yes, ranked, yes, in the college football playoff. So again, there's still some sweaty palms out there. I feel like from Texas fans. In reality, everything's still there for them potentially. The nightmare scenario only comes into play if Bama beats Georgia. That's potentially where you can get into some funny business because, again, does the playoff leave a one-loss SEC champion out of the playoff even though they lost the head-to-head game at home by double digits to Texas? So, again, Michigan, Ohio State, that's going to solve itself. Washington, Oregon, one of those teams may not make the Pac-12 championship because they still got tough schedules. I think they've still got Oregon State coming up. There's another tough game in there. I believe the Apple Cup with Washington State. So like
always frisky.
So one of those teams cannot make it as is. But regardless, you would think the one of those two will make it in to replace whoever loses Ohio State, Michigan. So again, then it comes down to who, and then of course Florida State could also lose as well. I should mention that.
They had a close scare last weekend.
They did
Miami.
have a little.
I feel like
they looked very vulnerable.
I feel like every weekend everyone's just waiting for Florida State to drop.
Well, because the ACC is just so bad that I don't think people want to reward them with the spot. Mm-hmm. Like I think that legitimately people look at the ACC and it's like I guess we have to because it's a power conference and they're unbeaten. But like I don't know anybody that's like if you're listing the 4 best teams, I don't think anybody has Florida State in that.
Florida State's that team where if they lost one game, they would drop to number 11.
Probably. Yeah. I could definitely see that because like again, Clemson's quote unquote turned it around, but they only beat Clemson by one score. Duke, they beat Duke, but they didn't have Riley Leonard healthy. You mentioned Miami last week, and it's just like, and then their best wins by far LSU, which of course looks great because LSU's gotten their act together. But let's put it this way: Texas fans, calm down, right? Pay attention to Washington, Oregon, because that's probably the spot that you're going to be wanting to pay attention to. Because if they lose sometime in the regular season, things get a little crazy. And then turn it on for Ohio State, Michigan. That's all you got to care about. That's all you got to care about.
I just don't see a scenario where Texas finishes as Big 12 champion with one loss and a win over Alabama, and they're left out of the playoff.
I don't either, but I think it comes down to the politics of. If again, it's the what if, and it's like if Georgia loses.
But if Georgia loses to Alabama, how do you put Alabama and Georgia in and not Texas?
No, I don't think. No, I agree with you. Right, here's what I'm saying. I agree with you. Is that in that scenario? Let's say Ohio State beats Michigan. So you got Ohio State, let's say Florida State, and then you got the winner of the Pac-12. Right. In that scenario, I agree with you. It should be Texas, right? They have the best win. I think the best non-conference win of any of these teams, maybe aside from Florida State, probably including Florida State. But I think it comes from does the playoff. If Georgia loses that game, it'd be precedence because at that point you're leaving the one-loss SEC champion out of the playoff. Now I'm not saying that in this scenario Texas doesn't deserve it over them. I think they do. They beat them, but. That's gonna be a weird precedent that I don't know if the playoff committee is gonna want to do, because just because of numbers, it's people, right? It's not numbers that is calculating this. It's just people in a room saying, and it's like in their mind they're like one loss to SEC champion, they're in, right? I think in their mind they're just in, and it's like. That's what, to me. I have to see it to believe it. I think Texas should get in. I don't know if they will because of that exact thing.
Well, I would love to hear Boo Corrigan explain this.
100%.
After this nightmare scenario happens.
You know what's going to happen? He's going to be like, well, that was in September, and this is November. And it's going to be like, they're a different team now. And it's like, okay.
September win is actually not in the same quadrant as a December win. And
right. No, that's going to be it. That's going to be their excuse because they can come up with anything and – it is what it is because it's their decision basically.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say too, I think that strength of schedule plays into that a lot as well. I mean, if you take a look at Alabama's schedule, like no offense to Texas, but they have played a harder gauntlet of a schedule over Texas. And I know that like Texas has the head-to-head over Alabama, but I still think that at the end of the day, their strength of schedule does play a lot into that.
I'm not pushing back on that thought, but have they played that much harder of a schedule than Texas?
I think Oklahoma losing that game hurts them a bit.
I think so too.
Losing the Oklahoma State game. Because I think if they beat them in a rematch, I think it's a lot easier to say that Texas played a harder schedule.
Right.
And so I think if Texas draws Oklahoma State, I think who's good, but like I don't know if a lot of people pencil them in as like, yes, Oklahoma State quality win over comparatively to like LSU, right? Comparatively.
Oklahoma turning into a pumpkin did not help.
Right. No. That was I think because again that you were setting up the rematch and therefore you would have had Kansas State, Iowa State, and then a rematch with Oklahoma, which would have been an incredible way to end the year potentially for them. So again,
and then Oklahoma State getting scoreboarded by UCF.
Right. So like the conference schedules just kind of like taking little hits here and there. Again, I think the Big 12 is just really good this year.
Big 12 football. Baby.
I was about to say I really do think the Big 12 is just really good this year. But now it's like, what's happening? Kansas State has Kansas this week. If they lose that game, what happens to that? So it's very weird.
They're just cannibalizing each other.
Right. It kind of is.
Like it really is.
It's what we thought the Pac-12 was going to be.
You're right. Exactly.
The SEC kind of has the top teams kind of like eventually separating themselves, right? So it's like the LSU's, Bama's, and Georgia's kind of move up here, and then whoever beats each other, it looks really good. So anyway, we'll figure it out, but just calm down, Texas fans. Things are still in front of you.
The dreams are still alive.
The dreams are still alive. Nothing to worry about yet. Beat Iowa State first. All right, let's look at the power poll really quickly before we get to the last part of the Quinn Ewers news that I mentioned. Okay, so this is the week's power poll. From the top to the bottom, Texas, SMU, UTSA, Texas A&M, Texas State, Texas Tech, TCU, Rice, Houston, Baylor, North Texas, UTEP, Sam Houston. All right.
We only had one change from last week.
Was it North Texas dropping?
No, North Texas stayed at 11. I believe it. Well, crap. No, I made it, and I don't remember what. I think it
was it A&M?
I think Texas A&M and Texas State
switched.
Yes,
switched. That's
because
right.
Texas State was at 4.
Yes.
and then they lost to Coastal, so
All right,
Texas
so
A&M jumped.
Big question here. Can Sam Houston jump UTEP?
I was on
Yes.
Sam Houston jumping UTEP last week.
I am too. I was too.
Again, we go
How
back
many
to
wins
that.
does UTEP have? They have 3.
Three.
Well, we're going back.
Ooh.
They have the head-to-head. Going back. That's the
forgot
thing.
about the
Head-to-head.
head-to-head.
That's
but
the thing.
Also, I don't know.
So they have Middle and Liberty coming up. UTEP does.
Well.
And then Sam Houston, not much easier. They have Western Kentucky in Middle. So
I know the head-to-head should count for something, but also Sam Houston coming up from the FCS into the FBS, it's almost like UTEP doesn't have an excuse for
That's
the
fair.
season they're having, while
Right.
Sam Houston does.
that's fair. I can see that. I can definitely see that. All right. Not much, like you said, not much movement. Texas State lost, so they dropped one spot below A&M, who won and then still fired their head coach.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about this Quinn Ewers news, because I'm very fascinated by it. So I believe it was On 3 that reported it, saying there's some sources saying
Inside Texas.
Inside Texas
is on
on 3,
yeah.
yes. Saying that they've heard some rumblings. I think the quote was 90% likely that Quinn Ewers comes back. Of course, things could change. If Quinn Ewers throws for 400 yards to close out the season, he's gone. But I think this is something we've kind of in the office have talked about a little bit, where it's like he isn't having the year that I think. One, he was hurt for a couple games, so he missed some time. But then also, he hasn't had the year that I think we kind of expected. He's been a good quarterback, but not a. I think the ideal scenario for him, for Texas, and in our minds was he comes in, has an all-conference type year, not a Heisman necessarily, but all-conference type year, plays well enough for people to get intrigued by his talents again, goes to the NFL, right? Whether it's probably not first round, probably day 2, early second, third round, something like that. But regardless, goes to the NFL, Arch comes in, takes over after that, and then it's his program to go forward. I think that was like the ideal scenario.
Yeah, it's just the Quinn Ewers year this year, again, been very good, very solid, but he's not having that Jaden Daniels LSU type season where it's this Texas team is so good because of Quinn Ewers.
Right.
It's just that Quinn Ewers is the pilot of this very good Texas team, which is fine, which is great. He's played well. He's done exactly what he's needed to do. It was also very hilarious how that Inside Texas report came out, and then instantly Pete Thamel was like, actually, he's not sure yet.
Right.
None of us are sure yet. We don't know.
Yeah. Again, because again, it does create an interesting situation, because all of a sudden it feels like everybody's in waiting to figure out if Arch is going to start next year. And granted, I don't think it's the worst thing for either of them for that to happen. I think Quinn Ewers could use another year, and I think Arch could use another year of sitting and learning. He wasn't the second string guy this year, right? For him to go from third string, clearly not ready, to the starter in an offseason would be a lot. Now, I think that unfortunately puts Malik Murphy had a weird situation. Probably he does transfer maybe if in that situation, because I think Texas does want to get Arch some reps maybe.
All 3 of them are not back next year.
Right, exactly. Some situation like that. From what I've seen, Arch is more or less from early. Again, they're mostly responding to rumors, talking to people around Arch. I think it is more or less he's staying, he's willing to stay, which again, I think that shows that he probably sees that he's not ready, right? He's coming from the equivalent of Texas 3A football.
Yes.
Throwing him into the SEC next year would be crazy. So again, I agree that all 3 of them are not back. I would presume that Malik Murphy's put enough out there to be to have the intrigue of somebody out there. So I think for him, it does create a little bit of an interesting scenario. But I think I'm very curious, because this was a scenario that we were kind of questioning, is does Quinn just go to the NFL anyway? Right? That was kind of the thing. Or does he come back? I don't think he transfers, right? I don't think that's an option for him. I really think he stays with Texas or goes to the NFL.
I think so too. What gets so frustrating is people saying, oh, this is proof that Arch sucks if they're not shoving Quinn Ewers out of the door.
Right.
Whatever happened to you just got to sit for 2 years and wait your turn behind a more upperclassman quarterback. Look at Carson Beck at Georgia right now.
He's playing great.
Great football right now. Sat behind Stetson Bennett for 2 years. And I think we thought Quinn Ewers was just destined to go to the NFL after 2 seasons because he was always presumed to be the 3-and-done guy.
Right.
And sometimes life just doesn't work out that way. You've been injured twice. You didn't play at Ohio State. I can't picture Quinn Ewers in the NFL next year. Maybe that's me and just a guy who's paid attention to Texas high school football, and he's just younger than me, so mentally I can't see him being in the NFL. But I don't look at Quinn Ewers and say, that's the savior of an NFL franchise next year.
No.
Right now, he's a flyer. He's a flyer you take, right? It's like this guy has arm talent. This guy's improved from his first starting year to his second year. He's improved. He hasn't been incredible, but you take a flyer on him, and you maybe see what you can work with.
And it doesn't have to be that way.
Right.
You don't have to be a flyer, dude.
No,
just stay one more year, put another great season on tape, and then go to the NFL.
And it's also a lot more intriguing of a quarterback year. So I think there's a top two. I think there's Caleb Williams and Drake May. I think those are the top two. But then you got guys like, Bo Nix, Michael Penix,
Spencer Rattler.
Still, honestly, as far as intrigue goes, maybe. He's kind of in that Spencer Rattler class, right? In terms of like guys that you wouldn't bet the franchise on.
He
but
could
guys,
be a top 2 QB next year. And he would be like QB 5
maybe.
this year.
Yeah, I was about to say maybe. I'm trying to think of any other names. Jaden Daniels, if he decides to leave, things like that. So
what about Jalen Daniels from Kansas?
Jalen Daniels, Jalen or Jaden.
He's got to figure out his back problems first.
I know.
Yeah, that's a good point. We'll keep an eye on this, obviously, but I do think it's an interesting thing that it's coming up. McCarthy is another one who isn't putting up great numbers, but teams will still bet on McCarthy probably before him. So,
Look, I don't know Quinn Ewers, but from an outside looking in, I think the reason we thought he might just go to the NFL is because he seems to live his football life on fast forward.
Sure.
As in he skips his senior year to go straight to college, and then he was always going to go to the NFL after 3 years.
And then they get Arch, and so it seems like it's sped up even more. And so it's like, I got to leave before he starts. There always seemed to be like this presumed competition between them. And it was like, I don't think there was ever a competition between them.
I don't think there was either.
Like, Sark knew what he was doing when he was bringing in both guys. He was like, this is the guy now. This is the guy for later. You don't have to worry about each other because he's not ready, and you're our best option for now. So I think everybody, including us, media, they're kind of like, all right, so when's the competition going to start? And it's like, it's not a competition.
Now, maybe it's a bit more of a competition next year if they both come back. I still think Quinn Ewers would start over that, and that'd be good for Arch to get another season of reps and not go straight into the SEC. Next year, they go to Ann Arbor. I'm pretty sure to play Michigan.
They do.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Can you imagine Arch Manning
That's
coming out next year and shoving Quinn Ewers out the door so he can go to Ann Arbor, play Georgia, there's someone at LSU or something.
Their games.
Their schedule's a gauntlet.
So, their games are at Michigan. Let's see. Of course, they get Oklahoma.
Is that week 1? No, wait, that's week
2.
Okay.
At Ann Arbor, home, or neutral versus Oklahoma. At Arkansas, home versus Florida, home versus Georgia. They get at College Station next year for the reunion of the reuniting of the rivalry. So again, it's a very tough schedule to start off with. I agree.
Yeah, imagine punting your 5-star 1-of-1 QB out the door for Arch Manning to do that. Couldn't be me.
Yeah, no, absolutely not.
If I'm Arch Manning, I'm begging Quinn Ewers to stay for another year.
It's like, dude, please, I will take one more year.
Yeah, seriously. My gosh.
Alrighty, so let's go on to our games of the week, Mallory. And we'll talk about any other news relating to those teams as we do.
All right, let's start off with the Bluebonnet Battle, correct?
Oh, God, yeah.
Bluebonnet Battle.
Baylor at TCU this Saturday at 2:30 p.m. You can watch it on Big 12 Network or ESPN+. TCU coming in as 13-point favorites, the over-under 58.5.
Yeah, first of all, not a fan of the name, but credit to them for trying to stir up something for this game because
there's nothing else.
because one,
There's
Baylor
no
stinks,
noise.
so they got to drum up something for them. And then historically, it is significant, right? It's about to pass Texas and Texas A&M as the most played rivalry in the state of Texas. So yes, I'm glad that they've acknowledged that finally.
Look, they're getting skewered for this name. And let me defend the kids here, the student government.
I was about to say it was a student government
It's
thing.
student governments. I'm not the biggest fan of the name personally.
I think Bluebonnet Bowl would have been, even though Bluebonnet Bowl was a thing, I think getting the rights to the name Bluebonnet Bowl would have probably been better. But anyway.
They worked very hard on this first summer. It takes a lot of moving parts to come up with a rivalry name like this. Credit to them for getting a trophy, trying to do something to drum up some support for this game, which is a very good game historically, but this year will be kind of interesting. I'll be there, though.
Yeah,
I will be there.
You will be there because, it's in Fort Worth, and if this was in Waco, I don't know if I'd make it because it would be like 7 people, and 6 of them will be TCU fans. So as far as on the field goes, are we giving Baylor any shot?
No, I think Baylor's done.
Yeah, I think they do.
Every Dave Aranda new sad quote of the week drops every week where it's
let me find
yeah,
I gotta find
that
it.
quote.
I did see that.
They're
read like a
that.
Werner Herzog quote. Hold on, Dave Aranda. Oh boy, where's the quote? I think it was from Zach Smith. oh God, okay, here we go. So Zach Smith, or somebody asked him about the coaching carousel overall, because of course Jimbo Fisher kind of kicked it off. So this is from Zach Smith, writer at the Waco Tribune. Whenever this is from Dave Miranda. Whenever you see the Christmas commercial where it's the car with a ribbon on it, you know someone's about to get fired. This is the signal that firings are coming next. That's just how it is. You sign up for that. What?
That was my exact exact thought.
And so I quote tweeted that and put it with the Werner Herzog quote of where is it? Let me see.
What?
It was no one. Dave Aranda. Civilization is like a thin layer of ice upon the deep ocean of chaos and darkness. Like, it's like he basically reads like Werner Herzog.
Yeah, he's getting so morbid and sad.
Oh God! First, it's like I thought the what was it? The pregame was great, and it's like, oh, actually nobody's playing for anybody.
Levels of Jover.
And then the Christmas commercials means firings.
Yeah.
So that's where Baylor's at. So they're not going to win.
Yeah, no, they're definitely not going to win this game.
Is Chandler Morris back for TCU, or are they going with Josh Hoover the rest of the year? Because Chandler Morris was in uniform last week.
He was.
I don't think he's healthy yet.
I think Jamie Plunkett said last week the plan for now was to Hoover to start. He's healthier, but is still being evaluated. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if he got the green light or if he was just like an emergency, like you're at like 60%. And if Hoover's hurt, you got to go.
I think they win either way, by the way.
Well, I was going to say,
Yeah,
why they don't need him this week.
No, they really don't.
To be quite frank, they don't need Chandler Morris.
I think Josh Hoover's perfectly fine and good enough to get it done. Even despite play calling woes, we'll just say, I think that it won't matter because I just don't think Baylor's in it anymore.
Look, if TCU goes out there and puts up a 17-point game, then it's alarm bells ringing everywhere. This should be a flex game.
Yes. No, it should be very much. I'm looking at this right now. Baylor has 25-24 loss to Houston. They gave 59 to Kansas State, of course. 30 to Iowa State. 39 to Tech. 35 to UCF in a game they probably should have lost. And then, of course, 38 to Texas. So, yeah, they ain't stopping nobody. 42 to Texas State. Their only games that they've given up less than 30 are Long Island, Utah, who was only like third-string quarterback, and that's it. Oh, and then Houston, of course, which they still lost. So, yeah.
Yep. I'm not super interested in that game.
Nope. I'm interested to see the rivalry for the first time. The dubbed rivalry for the first time.
Right. So. All right, let's move on here to one that's very interesting because, Carter, I'm going to make you read some of that quote that we talked about before.
Oh, yes.
Texas playing at Iowa State this Saturday at 7 p.m. You can watch it on Fox. Texas coming in as 7.5 point favorites. Over under 47.5. Carter, you have the floor.
Iowa State left guard Jared Hufford on Texas coming to town for the final time. It's going to be one heck of a farewell present. They're going to come here on senior night in the dark. I don't think they really know what is going to be coming for them. We've beaten them 4 of the last 5 times at home. They don't have a good record here. They get all the 5-star recruits and have all the nicest stuff in the world, and they just think they don't stink. They're just humans, and that's how I see them. They're people that have such a high ego that needs to be checked. End scene. You got T'Vondre Sweat and Byron Murphy coming up.
Bro, I was like tempted to pick Iowa State in this game until that quote.
Yeah, because now they're going to get wrecked.
I was tempted because this is an Iowa State team that's kind of cooking right now. Texas seems to be really flirting with the idea of blowing this game, blowing their chance at the Big 12 title. Uh-huh. And then they just go and light the fire for no reason. I thought we were it's been a couple years since the Breece Hall 5-star,
which was a bar. Can we admit that was a bar?
Yes. Breece Hall's for those who don't remember. I think it was Stark's first year, 2021.
Yep.
Breece Hall drops we have 5-star culture. They have 5-star players. Like that was like
which was after the game.
Yeah, it was after the game.
Yeah,
it was a bar. It was awesome. And then of course Texas uses that to steamroll them last year. But like it was a great quote. I thought we were past that. I really thought we were past that because there's no need to do that anymore, especially like you mentioned before the game. Do it after the game. If you win, then you can talk all the smack you want because you got a year. Or no, you won't play them again because
I was going to say they're not going to play them again.
This is where you're supposed to lie low. No one was talking about. Major was talking about Iowa State in the way that they're actually playing right now, which is well. They're playing well. And now all of a sudden it's like Iowa State, now all of a sudden people are like angry at Iowa State. There's like players. I saw some players quote tweets saying like, "Oh, okay, let's go."
Yeah, Byron Murphy quote tweeted and said 7 p.m.
Yeah,
just on
and
the
it's
quote.
just like, oh, buddy, if you get the response that are like one word, it's over. It's over. It's over. If you're not even a bar from Byron Murphy, just bet. Like, basically just saying bet. Let's go.
Byron Murphy is like top 2 guys I would not want to be mad at me.
And the other one is Devondre Sweat.
The other one's T. Sweat.
The other one's next to him on the defensive line.
Do you think that left guard walks in the locker room the next day and everyone's like, I'm fired up, bro. Like, let's show them? Or are they like, what the hell?
Well,
Yeah.
Ish and I were talking about that before you came in,
Yeah.
and we were like, I bet the SID is just really frustrated
He's just like,
right now, because if I'm like his teammate and I'm walking into the locker room, I'm like, dude, what the heck are you thinking?
Yeah, Rocco
Like,
Beck's
what-
like, you realize I'm a freshman, right? They're gonna kill me.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Rocco Beck's
I'd
like,
be
throw me a bone
angry.
here, man. Like,
Yeah.
they're hitting me, right?
Yeah.
You got to block. They're hitting me.
Now, the
So,
flip side of this,
Yeah.
this was pregame. If Iowa State wins, get ready.
Listen, so I was telling Mallory this. There were some interesting stats that Parker Stats of War, he puts up his game stats, but he was putting up some season stats that I thought were very fascinating. One of them was defensive, and by the way, we should mention Jonathan Brooks also out for the year for this game. So
Yes.
This is a massive loss for Texas, and even more because I was reading this stat. This is yards before contact, defensive yards before contact, which is what it is. The definition of it is what it sounds like. How many yards a running back can gain on your defense before basically somebody hits them, right? The 4th-ranked team in the country is Iowa State. They're allowing just 1.15 yards before contact. So a game without Jonathan Brooks, a lot's going to be on C.J. Baxter, a lot's going to be on Jadon Blue. We may see Savion Red in that weird Wildcat package.
No, just put him at running back, dude. Just put him
Yeah.
at running back. No more Red Cat.
Look, listen. Sark says no. Sark says we're doing this anyway. Regardless, this is one of the best rush defenses in the country in a game where you're down your best player on offense. So we've been asking it since the Bama game. We've only gotten it the Bama game. Do we get the Quinn Ewers game again? Is this the situation where we get the Quinn Ewers game?
Well, they're going to need the Quinn Ewers game, Quinn Ewers legacy game coming up. But also, remember how we talked about how bad the 33-5 is and it's getting exposed? These guys run it real well.
This is the only team in the country that's like ran it well like for a decade, basically.
Yes. And
Yeah.
They've been running it for so long that it's so entrenched in their system. They can do so many different things off of it. 5 defensive backs in the backfield and good ones too, like TJ Tampa, future NFL guy. So this is going to be a game without your starting running back. Need Quinn Ewers to step up.
Yeah, this is going to – and I will say this. Texas has the edge defensively versus their offense. They're not a great running offense. Rocco Beck's been fine, but he hasn't been, like, prolific by any means. It has been a defensive and kind of muck it up kind of game for Iowa State. I believe their best running back is gaining like maybe 4.5 yards a carry. So again, fine, not great. So this will be a game that the defenses decide, in my opinion.
If Texas loses this game, it's because it's 17-14.
Yes, it's because Quinn Ewers does not have. He's not able. One, I do think C.J. Baxter needs to. This isn't going to be. I'm not writing off C.J. Baxter in terms that he can't make a difference. He's going to have a good game anyway, but I don't think he's going to have. He's not going to have 150 yards, right? He just has to be reliable along with Jadon Blue. Quinn Ewers is going to have to be the one to kind of put this forward because that defense, they're going to have to hit this defense over the top a couple times.
Yeah, maybe this is like the C.J. Baxter "you have arrived" game because it happened. It happened versus Kansas State, and he had that 50-yard touchdown. And then like we didn't see him the rest of the game.
Yeah,
and so maybe this is the game.
We'll see. I'm going Texas, but it may be an ugly one.
Yeah.
I was gonna go Iowa State, but now that quote.
I was about to say that quote is like, nah, I'm going
no.
Texas.
I have to go Texas.
You can't take Iowa State after that. All right, our final game of the week, SMU playing at Memphis this Saturday at 11 a.m. You can watch it on ESPN2. SMU coming in as 8.5-point favorites. The over-under is 66.5.
All right, so going back to that stat that I was mentioning, yards before contact. SMU, 9th in the country in yards allowed before contact, 1.4. This has been a nasty, nasty team to watch. And I think last week kind of like showed to me, we've always asked like, oh, this offense isn't explosive. And I think last week showed me they don't need to be. I really don't think they need to be. This defense is so good.
we've had the semifinalists for the Broyles Award for the nation's top assistant come out. If I had a vote, and I don't, I would go Scott Simons, the defensive coordinator for SMU, because that defense has been legit.
It's so dirty this year,
Well, and
man.
just the flip from last year to this year too. Like it's just night and day.
Red
difference.
Lashley came
like,
and was like, I'm fixing this, and
absolutely.
just brought in players. Just
Right,
oh
right.
my God, yeah.
because
They've
it
been
was
phenomenal.
such an issue last year.
And I'll say this: Memphis is all offense this year.
They are.
Let me read you some of their scores. So UAB 45-21. Of course, they lost to Tulane 31-21. They beat Boise State, who's like 35-32. Of course, Missouri's not a bad loss. North Texas, you remember that? We remember that game, 45-42.
Remember that one.
South Florida, 59-50. And then last week in overtime against Charlotte, 44-38.
That
This
poor
is a team
offense is so tired.
I was about to say, it's Seth Hennigan and Watson going, please, anybody get a stop. Blake Watson's almost at 1,000
Keep us
yards,
off the field.
1,000 yards rushing, and he's like, please, somebody get a stop. So this game can only be won one way by Memphis, right? This SMU offense doesn't make mistakes. They're very methodical because they haven't needed to be anything else. And I don't think this is the game where they need to. I don't see this as a game where they need to get out of their second, third gear, in my opinion.
I think we've all come to the realization that SMU's a for-real team this year. I think this might be the game where the nation is okay. SMU is legit New Year's Six Bowl contenders.
Because I think what's the spread on this one?
8.5 SMU.
I think they can cover that.
Yeah. I'm
This
picking
could be.
SMU to
This
cover
could
that.
very. I agree with Carter because I think this could be like a 38-24 type of game where we're like, oh man, they just dominated Memphis wire to wire, and so I'm kind of expecting that because we haven't seen them against TCU, yes, but like we haven't seen them tested really at all this year when they got in the conference.
Now, if they win, is it because they got a P. Shiesty game? Or is it because the defense wrecked?
Both.
I'm gonna say we get a P. Shiesty game.
If you get both, that means it's 50-0.
I'm saying we get a P. Shiesty game because I think
P.
Memphis will
Shiesty
get
game.
theirs to an extent.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Their offense is pretty good.
It is.
But I do think that defense is just there to get. Like I think their Memphis's offense is good enough to get 24-28, right? 28 points. And then I just think that SMU's offense is going to be like 38-45 and something around there. So I'm going to pick them to cover. I think they win big. I'm picking double digits.
P. Shiesty goes for over 350 yards.
If he gets 350, he's P. Shiesty.
My P. Shiesty is like Gus Johnson's Maserati Marv.
Yeah, it is.
Like, I'm just trying to make this happen.
If you throw for 400 once this year, you will get to write the P. Shiesty
In
article.
my defense, SMU Twitter account did just pull that out of nowhere. It was like, what?
Look, we've messed with Maller on how bad Joe Burrow's playing this year, but the nickname's up for grabs right now as far as I'm concerned. They haven't turned their season around, so.
Oh, that's true. All right, let's switch into the lightning round here. UTSA hosting South Florida Friday, November 17th at 8 p.m. You can watch on ESPN2. UTSA coming in as 16-point favorites, over under 67.5.
South Florida's not very good. UTSA is the machine's coming online.
Yeah.
I do wonder because this is the first time in a while that they're gonna have to play with their head coach's name kind of floating around there.
And it's senior night.
And it's
It's a short week.
It's a short week, yeah.
Maybe. I'm not saying they'll lose this game. I don't think South Florida's that talented.
There's just a lot of
But South Florida
deception.
does have a really good freshman QB.
He's not. He hasn't been playing badly.
Wait, what? He hasn't been playing?
No, but badly.
Oh.
Badly, I meant.
Is he a Frisco guy? Is that why you said that?
No. I just saw him play Rice one time, and I was like, this guy is pretty good.
That's not shocking at all. That's the most on-brand
I
thing
saw
for
one
you
game from him
ever.
was like, this guy's good.
Carter Yates #certified.
Yeah. Let me look up his numbers. Bynum Brown, right?
Yeah.
Let me see. Bynum Brown.
You gotta keep in mind he's 17.
Yes.
I think.
Yes, I think he is actually he jumped up. 2,500 yards, 18 touchdowns, 8 picks. That's not bad.
Read the rushing
a true
numbers,
freshman.
too.
Oh, yes. Okay, sorry. That's just the available passing. Rushing numbers. Okay, 659 on the ground.
Yeah, he's kind of their offense.
Yeah.
Look at that. Okay, not bad. Not bad. I just wonder because like the last time Jeff Traylor's name came up was for the tech job, but it came out quickly that he was not going to take it.
Well,
right.
Did this happen last year too, where he was in the mix for all these head coaching jobs? Because he said in his press conference, like, we know how to handle this because it happens every year.
I don't think last year. No, last year wasn't as. No, last year was not because I can't remember what. There were no jobs that he would have been in the running for.
Yeah, I mean, really.
It was 2021, I thought.
Yeah.
Because the tech job came open, and I think SMU at the time was it? No, I think last year was. I think he was there. 2020, he was in line for the tech job, TCU, I think, but I think that one went away pretty quickly.
North Texas, but that was pretty much a lateral move at that point.
So I think in 2021 he came up for the tech job, but that one got squashed pretty quickly. He was very much like he's not taking that job mid-season, which is what they were looking for, which is why Joey ended up going there. This one, it's not we have no idea if A&M's made contact at all. So like that's one thing, and because of that. Obviously, I don't think he would shut the door on A&M, so it's not a situation to where, like, he wouldn't take the A&M job mid-year, things like that. So he's been very coy about it.
Well, we don't know if he's made contact with A&M, but we do know his picture is all over Twitter from Texas High School Coaches Association.
Yes.
Just everywhere.
They are very much – I believe even Kendall Miller from who's the president-elect of the THSCA, he just straight up tweeted out #trailer to College Station or something like that, and it's like, oh, my God. That's the only reason why I would, like, be any form of skeptical for this game. Other than that, I mean, UTSA is really turning it on. I think I'm trying to think. Did you see the article on the piece on Zachary Franklin, the news on him,
where he basically
he's not on
elected not to play,
and he's not on the team anymore.
Because we talked about him last week. Remember that? I was like, I think he's still at Ole Miss, but we pulled up his numbers and he just wasn't doing.
And so, the reason why I bring that up is because Clark, I believe, had surgery on his knee this week. I think yesterday the trailer announced that. So they're down to Josh Cephas, and of course Ogo Kellogg and all those guys have really stepped up a lot, but like that just really puts to bed that whole thing. And then I saw the Zachary Franklin tweet. He's no longer with Ole Miss, and there was some like issues of like him not refusing to play kind of thing. So
he wanted. I don't know, but I would assume he wanted to keep his red shirt.
Maybe, because he wasn't playing that much anyway. So it's an unfortunate situation for him. So really off-field stuff's the only reason I would be skeptical about UTSA in this one.
And I'm not even that skeptical.
No, I'm really not.
No, I don't either. All right, moving on here. Texas A&M hosting Abilene Christian this Saturday at 11 a.m. You can watch it on ESPN Plus or SEC Network. And there's no lines in this one because Abilene Christian is
Don't care.
School.
Yeah, no, seriously. I'll say this. I care from a standpoint of I just want to see how these guys play without Jimbo.
Yeah.
Just to see, right? Elijah Robinson takes over as interim head coach. I just want to see if these guys just come out and it's like, is Bobby Petrino calling some plays that he hasn't called before?
Yeah.
And it's like,
that's
are we just
why would he versus Abilene Christian?
Why not?
Why not? Hey, this is my first game.
I was about to say, Petrino's probably going to be looking for a job. It's like, why not? It's like, you know what? We're going to throw the ball 60 times because I got to find a coordinator job next year, you know?
Right.
And it's not a guarantee. Like, I think a lot of people, including ourselves, were kind of like expecting him to offer Mike Elko the job. Mm-hmm. These coaches really don't know if they're going to be there. Robinson, like I would say Robinson's is probably the only guy that's like probably plus to stay there, like 80% going to stay there, whoever they bring in. Everybody else, they're kind of coaching for the like. Are you bringing in? I'm trying to think. Who's the quarterback's coach? It's not. I know it's not Petrino.
The quarterback's coach at A&M?
Yes.
I've no.
It was Damian Craig, but he's the wide receivers coach now. Which, by the way, don't know if he comes back. You know, like there's just like
that is a good point that Jeff Traylor had. Not to loop back too far, but he did say when they asked him about the A&M job, he said it's really sad because people talk about the buyout and Jimbo whatever, but there's a whole staff that gets affected by all this.
Okay, so Petrino is the quarterback's coach. I was thinking of James Coley, who's the co-OC, the tight ends coach. Who knows? Steve Adazio is the offensive line coach. He's probably not coming back because that offensive line's not been very good. So there's a lot of guys coaching for their job, coaching for the next head coach. So that's what I'm interested in seeing, right? I don't think this isn't going to be worth paying attention to from an X's and O's standpoint. Who knows? Somebody may see this game and say, Elijah Robinson, he's worth taking a shot on as a head coach. Mm-hmm. Who knows? Mm-hmm. So that's the only reason I'm going to be interested in this one. That's the only reason you should be interested in this one.
Can we do real quick? Just who do you think the coach is going to be? Like if you had to put all your chips in one basket.
I think Mike Elko.
Mike Elko.
Oh, that or Dan Lanning.
Yeah, I'm going Dabo Sweeney.
Oh, God. That'd be disgusting.
Did you not see that press conference clip that he had where like he probably paid someone like $100 to ask him about the A&M job, and he was like, I'm just focused on this week.
Of course.
And then it like all started puzzle pieces in my mind. I was like, he's Tyler from Spartanburg, like a little bit unhappy this year. What if
Tyler from Spartanburg gets him out? Gets him out of Columbus. I've had it here because of that one question from that one guy.
I would probably say Dan Lanning too.
Yeah. It's splashy.
I was about to say that'd be the splashy hire to do. So.
All right, let's move on here. UTEP playing at Middle Tennessee this Saturday at 1 p.m. You can watch it on ESPN Plus. Middle Tennessee coming in as 7.5-point favorites. The over-under 47.5.
Yeah. This game makes me sad. This game's just not interesting to me at all because, like, Middle Tennessee's like I do think Middle Tennessee's beatable. Let's put it that way. They lost to New Mexico State. They've only beaten, they've only beaten FIU, La Tech, and Murray State. So, like, they're beatable. But, like, at this point, I'm like, what does beating Middle do? Yeah. Because then they get Liberty. And Liberty's going to be playing for a New Year's Six potential. I'm not saying they're getting the New Year's Six, but, like, they're in that running. I think they're ranked 25th right now. And they're going to look for some style points.
Okay, speaking of Liberty, real quick, off topic, did y'all see that tweet that he...
I heard it was fake.
Okay.
I heard the tweet.
That's what sucks about Twitter so much
How do you
now
know,
is
though?
everything is fake.
I know, but it was so interesting.
So, for those of you that don't know, there was a tweet that went viral from Jamie Chadwell who tweeted out something about practice or what? Let me see. Here it is right here. See everyone on Wednesday. He was quote tweeting.
Because Liberty plays tonight, I think.
And so he was quote tweeting something that said, like, a programming note, the coach's show will be on Thursday or whatever, Wednesday or whatever. And he was saying, see everyone on Wednesday. Well, the somebody, I guess figuring out it was fake, somebody added a geotag to the bottom saying from Starkville, Mississippi, because the Mississippi State job's open. Which, of
That's
course,
so funny.
I thought that was real too.
I
thought it was real.
completely got
the reason
duped by
why
that.
I thought it was the reason why I kind of was skeptical. I wanted to believe it was real so bad, was because these guys know how coaching searches work.
I know.
And there's no way that any of them have location on, like, at all.
True.
So, like, but I trust me, it took me a while to believe, and then I finally saw an article that debunked it. But I wanted it to be real so bad because I was like, that just would have been like an awesome fumble.
I know.
And also, they don't always interview in person either. That's the other thing. Is like these dudes do Zoom. They meet at like a middle spot, like in Atlanta or something. So, but
gotta be COVID conscious,
right? Yeah, it's still gotta be COVID conscious. But I did love that. That it would have been perfect because his name has come up for that job, the Mississippi State job.
We're almost at flight tracker season.
We
for
are
college coaches.
We're almost. So I'll say this about the getting back on UTEP. I think they could win this game. Gavin Hardison is shut down for the year. I believe he had surgery last week.
Yeah,
Colin
I saw that.
tweeted that out. So, unfortunately, they do know now, or not unfortunately, fortunately they know what the situation is at quarterback now. I don't know. Do you believe in McConnell at all? Like, I don't know.
Not really.
Yeah. I think this is the winnable game. I just don't think they do it. Like, Middle Tennessee's not very good, but I'm taking them anyway.
I'm taking Middle Tennessee as well.
Struggling over here.
All right, with that being said, let's move on here. Rice playing at Charlotte this Saturday at 1 p.m. You can watch it on ESPN Plus. Rice coming in as 2.5-point favorites. The over-under is 46.5.
Must win bat signal.
Yep.
Yeah, it is kind of a must win for them. I think, is he still out? I think he's still out. Or I know it's JT Daniels. What I mean.
Yeah.
I think he's still in concussion protocol, which of course is tricky. It could mean he's cleared tomorrow. It could mean he's out for another week or so. Paget was fine, right? He was like fine.
But did we ever figure out why Chase Jenkins didn't start?
I did not know that. I don't know if we figured that out because I don't know.
Because that was like one of our main questions on the recap episode last week is why did AJ Paget, who's I guess technically the third string,
right? Yeah,
start
I don't know.
over
I think because
Chase
like
Jenkins.
everybody, even the American, I'm seeing now the American even had like a tweet out heading into that game saying Chase Jenkins likely going to start. And so then of course the news came out that AJ Paget would start. Let me see. The Roost had something. Oh, no, never mind. I thought they had something on it. I don't know. But AJ Paget did start last week, and he is a freshman. He played fine. Like I said, he was 182 yards, 60% completion is what it is. I'm very fascinated. I don't know because
I'd put my bet on Chase Jenkins. He looked good.
I'm not saying he looked good, but I'm just trying to think like it is a must-win for Rice.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Either one of them can beat Charlotte.
That's a good point.
Because Charlotte's 3-7.
Yeah, Charlotte's.
Yeah, that's
Is
a
this
good point.
game home or away?
It's
matter.
at Charlotte.
Doesn't matter.
At Charlotte, let me see if it matters. 1-4 at home. So actually, it's better that it's at home.
Yeah, there you go. I
They
mean,
need this win so bad. They actually need this win so bad.
I did find it funny that like Biff Poggi weighed in on the Jim Harbaugh situation because like he was on Michigan staff, and so he weighed in on like the whole thing. He was like, I basically saying like I never heard of a Connor Stallions, and I was right next to Jim Harbaugh the whole time. So
Thanks, Biff.
I just love how he was like, by the way,
All the way from.
yeah, all the way from Charlotte saying, by the way, he didn't cheat. You know, it's like one of those things.
Just like, what was that? Did you hear something? No.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know. Yeah, I think they should be able to
They're
beat
handing
Charlotte.
the suspension papers.
Yeah.
Like, wait!
I got something right here. So look, they shouldn't need them to beat Biff to beat Charlotte and Biff Poggi, but I don't know. Without JT Daniels, it's kind of a wild card.
Look,
situation.
it would hurt if you're Mike Bloomgren losing this game and having to walk over to shake hands with the shirtless, sleeveless Biff Poggi who's got a cigar already lit up in his mouth. That would,
I just
that would
love
suck.
That would hurt.
I
That would
just-
hurt.
I just.
You know,
love
it'd have
that.
some like smart ass remark too.
Yeah.
Like, get him next time, champ. And it's like what are you saying to me?
What was it? Was it the game? I don't remember who it was. It might have been Tom Herman, but just seeing Tom Herman like shake the hand of like I guess they played Florida Atlantic
Yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever
Uh-huh.
during the regular season. But I was just like, those are two very different coaches.
Yeah.
Like the dynamic between them two is very.
I hope he
different.
does work it out because I do love having him around.
Yeah.
Like I just like his presence.
He's a guy I need to have him.
I was about to say, hope they get 6 wins next year, get to a bowl because he's definitely a personality that I like. He's just
Well, we need to
different.
root for Rice in this situation.
Yeah, in this situation, we need to root for. I'm talking about next year.
Yeah, I know.
Next year, get to 6 wins, you'll be good to go. But yeah, in Rice, they should win this one. If they don't, then things get interesting.
That gets them to 5, correct?
Yes,
they
they
need these
need to win
last
out. They
two.
need to win out to get to a bowl. Which
Who's
They've
their
got it.
last game?
Is it UAB?
FAU.
FAU. Okay.
We'll see. FAU is not unbeatable.
All right, let's go ahead and move on here. North Texas playing at Tulsa this Saturday at 2 p.m. You can watch it on ESPN+. UNT coming in as 2.5-point favorites. The over-under 66.5.
That's way too small of a spread. Tulsa stinks. Tulsa stinks. Look, UNT stinks in a different way. Their defense stinks.
Yes, correct.
Tulsa is not a good team.
Tulsa
this year.
can't put up anything.
No. So look,
Any kind of offensive.
First of all, the
production.
team we just got finished talking about, Charlotte, they lost to Charlotte. They barely beat Tulane, which feels like Tulane's just kind of like in neutral right now. They barely lost to Tulane. Tulane's in neutral. They're playing close with everybody, it seems like. 69-10 to SMU, they lost. 42-10 to Rice, they lost. They barely lost to FAU, and their only other win is Temple and Northern Illinois. They stink. This team is not good. UNT, this should be a flex get-right game for UNT, in my opinion.
Need this game. Positive momentum in the last 2 games. Bowl games off the table.
This is
Went through a tough schedule this year.
Yes, this should be a Temple repeat for them. They
Yeah,
should very much be able
right.
to do what they did to Temple because, like I said, I'm trying to think. It looks like Cardell Williams is back to starting for them, as well as Braylon Braxton, but now it's back to Cardell Williams. They've played 4 quarterbacks this year.
That's right.
By the way, one of them, Roman Fuller. Shout out to Cater. I forgot about him. He was still at
How
Tulsa.
do you know that?
What? They were good when he was there. So yeah, they can't really run the ball. They're averaging 4 yards a carry, if that, running the ball. UNT should be able to.
Should roll them.
Yes. 2 is just looking at. People saw the records. They're like, 2 point spread. Like, give me UNT to cover and to win big.
Give me UNT winning big, and if not, this is going to be a Sunday recap episode.
It's going to be
we're going to have some questions.
We're going orange flag.
Yes.
I'm going orange flag on this one if they
I
don't win
won't
this
be
one.
there. Just kidding, I'll be there.
Mallory will ditch. I'm sick.
Sick, sorry.
Of this team.
Oh, terrible. Anyways, Texas State playing at Arkansas State this Saturday at 2 p.m. You can watch it on ESPN+. Texas State coming in as 3.5-point favorites. Over under 59.5.
This one's
Shmuel, how do you feel?
fascinating because
fascinating.
Arkansas State's not the worst team in the Sun Belt anymore.
Yeah.
They're 5-5.
And unfortunately,
Yeah.
they're 5-5, but my only image of them is Butch Jones crying on the sideline versus Oklahoma.
Oh
so
yeah, no, they got 73-0, which is insane. But they've come a long way since Butch Jones was crying on the sidelines. They only lost by 1 score to South Alabama. who's really good. They beat Louisiana by 20.
Yeah.
And they snuck by ULM, and they only lost by 10 to Coastal Carolina. They got drilled by Troy, but everybody's getting drilled by Troy. So, again, at the beginning of the year, I would have said this would have been one of the wins that Tech State would look to have. They're one of the worst teams. Not anymore. They're also fighting for a bowl still. Tech State has a bowl, of course, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm very curious how this bounce back will be because I mentioned against Coastal, Malik Hornsby finished that game. It wasn't TJ Finley. He wasn't hurt also. So I don't know. I'm very fascinated by this.
I'm very fascinated, too. I think TJ Finley comes back in the game.
Yeah,
I think they're just trying to get something working with Malik Hornsby. And we will have to see, was their goal the whole year to make a bowl game? And once they make a bowl game, it's throttled down in neutral?
Right.
I don't know.
I was about to say, it looked like that way against Coastal, yeah. And meanwhile, Arkansas State looking hungry. Like I said, they barely lost by 10. Who was it, to South Alabama last week?
But Coastal Carolina, it was a week-long party, okay? I totally understand. You're still a little tired. Now we got to get back on track here. Now we need
fully
some
recovered
wins.
now.
You're fully recovered now. You've had so many Pedialytes by this point.
Yes.
It's good.
Yes.
The vibes are good.
So let me see. Arkansas State's quarterback, I believe it's Jalen Rayner. They played a couple others this year, but I think Jalen Rayner's their main guy. Decent numbers, not great. They're going to stay on the ground. Jaquez Cross has about 5.5 yards a carry, which Tech State has been able to has been giving up some running yards. We'll see. But this one's going to be a lot of it's going to be on just consistency with TJ Finley because I think the running game is going to be fine. But it's just about if they're able to trust his deep ball in decision making.
Also, let's cut the penalties in half.
Yes, I would love that. What was it, 11, 13?
12.
12.
That's
I
right,
was
for
right
like
in that.
150 yards.
It was something stupid like that.
It was more than a football field.
It was,
yeah.
Not
So
the stat you want.
yes, I'll take Texas State, but it wouldn't surprise me. Arkansas State's still playing for a bowl. They're playing pretty well right now. So.
All right. Sam Houston playing at Sam Houston playing at Western Kentucky this Saturday at 2:30.
Oof.
You can watch it on ESPN Plus. Western Kentucky coming in as 12.5 point. 12.5
Hello,
point favorites.
Mallory.
I transferred my
Over-unders.
talking skills over that way.
Over-under
Space jammed it from her.
52.5.
Yeah.
My talking skills.
Yeah, so I would, as much as I like Sam getting on a nice little win streak,
This one's going to be tough.
It ends.
this one's going to be
gonna
tough. Yeah, I'm not even doing the jinxing thing anymore like I was the past 2 weeks. I think this one's going to be tough. Austin Reed is still one of the best quarterbacks in Conference USA. I know Western Kentucky's not in. I don't think they're in the race for Conference USA anymore. I think it's New Mexico. And,
They're a little bit down. They're
Yeah.
5-5.
Yeah. I think isn't it Liberty in New Mexico State?
I think so, yeah.
But still, I think they still have something to play for. They're still looking for a bowl game. So I think this is going to be a game that they just kind of, I don't want to say roll because I don't think that they're that bad, Sam Houston is, but I do think this is a game that's roll. I think of roll as like 3 touchdowns or more. I think this is maybe just a double-digit game.
I think it's a double-digit game, less than 20 points.
Yeah.
Sam Houston, nice 2 wins.
Yeah.
Western Kentucky's a different caliber team than the last 2 teams you played.
Yes, 100%. Keegan Shoemaker continues to play well despite having 0 running game at all to speak of. And then they get Middle next week, which could be a win. So.
All right. 2 more left. Houston hosting Oklahoma State this Saturday at 3 p.m. I am going to be there.
Oh, you're going to the Allie Gordon
ESPN2,
show?
Oklahoma State, huh?
You're going to the Allie Gordon show?
Correct.
Okay.
Oklahoma State coming in as 7-point favorites. The over/under's 59.5. This is a get-right game for Oklahoma State. I just
this is
feel
a body bag game for Houston.
I feel like this is a get-right game for Oklahoma State. They're angry.
Ooh, buddy. Ollie Gordon was held to 25 yards on 12 carries last
Whoa.
week. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, R.J. Harvey had over 200 yards for UCF. So Ollie Gordon is mad right now. I think he may still be in the lead. I think he still leads the country in rushing, or he's like, I don't know if that game knocked him out. Let me see.
Ollie Gordon's
God,
like,
he
give
still
me
leads the
nothing
country.
less than
He still leads the
50
country
touches.
in rushing. Yeah, he still leads the country in rushing after last week with 1,250 yards.
Yeah, my
He's
guy's-
gonna get like 250 in this game.
It's gonna get ugly real fast. Also, did you see that Dana Holgerson is beefing with UCF right now for the space uniforms?
I'm kind of for it.
I kind of like it too.
I'm kind of for it. So I don't know if you saw it. So he was on the radio show, And I forgot did they ask him about it or something? I can't remember.
I like to think he just brought it up.
I do.
Maybe they asked
so
him.
basically, he was like, because they were talking about Oklahoma State, and then they lost to UCF last week, and they were wearing the space uniforms. And so he mentioned something like, let me see. Here it is from Joseph Duarte. I thought we were Space City, he said. Host Jeremy Branham. Guess they have claim to it, too, because they have Cape Canaveral there. Holgerson, it's 45 minutes away. It's not close. They don't say Orlando, we've got a problem. So
Facts.
So
not wrong.
What I said was we need MTV and the VMAs to give one of those Moon Man trophies to the winner of that game, because I think they play next week. So I would love for this to be a thing. With that being said, yes, Ollie Gordon get right game, 200 yards.
Also, do the Love You Blue uniforms, but just make them space uniforms now that you can't use them for the Tennessee Titans anymore.
Oh my
Space City.
gosh, that's a
Space
perfect
City uniforms.
idea.
Which, by the way, if you are Space City, you just haven't done anything space related at all. Like you just let UCF walk over and say, "Yeah, Space U." Like their uniforms literally say Space U. So it's like, why aren't you doing something with space?
Yeah.
Like they did the Love You Blue alternate. They've done black. They haven't done anything. I mean, NASA, it was there. Like, yeah, you should be doing something space. I agree. Let's see something here. The reason why we're talking about that is because this game, I don't think it's going to be close. let's put it that way. This game is not going to be close. Let me double check that.
Ollie Gordon's going to be moonwalking on Houston's
literally.
He's going to be going in slow motion, too. It's going to be awesome. So Oklahoma State, and I think they're still second in the Big 12, so they really do need to hold on to these. I think they have Houston and BYU coming up, which should be wins, so they just need to hold on. I think Alan Bowman, he was hurt, I think, a little bit, but I think he'll be back. But basically it's whoever hands the ball off to Ollie Gordon.
Yeah, true. All right, let's round it all out here. Texas Tech hosting UCF this Saturday at 4 p.m. You can watch it on FS2. Texas Tech coming in as 3-point favorites. The over-under 60.5.
So, if Texas Tech, it's not a guarantee because UCF seems to have turned it around a little bit. They are a lot better. I believe they're also referencing that stat I mentioned earlier. The opposite side, yards per contact, offensively, they're the number one team in the country at almost 4 yards a carry on offense before contact.
Yeah, they're number 3 in the nation in rushing offense.
That's insane. So again, slow start for them. They've really fixed some things. That Baylor game seems to just be like something weird that happened.
Well, it's also John Rice Plumlee is back.
That's true. Yes, he is back. I forgot he missed like over half the year. So not a guarantee at all. Last week showed they can stop the run. So as we saw, I think it depends on the health of Baron Morton more than anything, because if Tech goes into the same game plan last week, okay, then there's probably a one-dimensional thing that they've been shown to shut down, right? If he's healthier and we see more of that last drive, I think this game could blow it open. They could blow it open potentially.
Yeah, what we forget too is November Joey McGuire. He's 5-1 in November.
Let's go, baby.
Texas Tech. No one does the turkey month like Joey McGuire.
Here's the thing, and they have 5 wins. They need one more for a bowl, and it's this week, and then Texas next week.
Oh,
yep.
yeah.
So they need this one.
They need this one. And I'll say this. I'll pose this question. We'll probably talk about it Sunday too if they win. I mentioned this a little bit to you and Craven. I think last year was kind of a lightning in a bottle type of year. Texas and Oklahoma were down. Oklahoma State was down. All of a sudden, Tech found itself winning those kind of games with probably a roster that wasn't ready to win those kind of games, right?
No.
If they had the best year since Leach, but I think Leach's rosters were more talented at those times. They were probably like a 6 to 7 win team last year, right? That happened to get the fortune of good luck and bad teams elsewhere. I still think they're on track.
I think they are too.
I think a lot of people are like, this year is a down year. It's a bad year. Disappointing. Yes, by the standards of last year, yeah, sure, you wanted them to compete for the title. I think in the logical sense of what Matt Wells left that program as and what Joey McGuire had to kind of do, I think they're on track.
Well, like everything, we the media ruined it.
Sure,
because we said
did.
They were dark horse Big 12.
We did. Well, honestly, Vegas had them as like I think they were like 4th or 5th roughly in odds. So that's dark horse territory. So I think again, last year was a circumstantial like benefit to them. I don't think they were a 9-win team on paper, and I don't know.
But next year, dark horse Big 12.
I was about to say, probably starts up all over again next year. But I'll say this to say, even if they go 6-6, 7-5, if they pull an upset, because if they pull an upset, they're giving them a lifetime contract. I can just say that right now.
Yeah.
If they beat Texas,
They'll carry Brett
6.
Yormark and Joey McGuire off the field at the same time together.
It's gonna be like they remember the Titans when they both lift the football together at the end. You just remember? So anyway, I'll end with that because I think 6-7 wins is still perfectly on pace for what this team should be and probably is at naturally. So give me Texas Tech in this one, and that'll do it for us.
Give me Tech.
Give me Tech.
Alrighty. So we'll wrap it up there. Remember, promo code DCTF right there. Let me make sure I got that. There we go. Wait, there we go. Promo code DCTF, 15%
Why
off
was
first time
that so
purchase.
hard for you?
What? Because it's like
It's right
like
that you
hovering
see
a
it.
button.
You did bracketology on Texas football tonight. You
Shut
did
up.
it perfectly.
Shut up. Shut
I
up.
know.
Anyway, anybody listening to this is trying to figure out what I'm doing right now. Anyway, promo code DCTF for 15% off first time purchase. And yes, that'll do it for us. Please go Rutgers as well. Ross Bjork, give us a call because you're looking for a new head coach, and we have some thoughts. So if you want to go, also read Craven's article on who he thinks should be the final 2 frontrunners for the Texas A&M job. Go read Carter Yates on what you put out this week. What have you done?
Second half Sark. We dove into every second half of Steve Sarkisian's coaching career.
That is correct.
Yeah.
And the numbers, not good.
And we got he has a piece over Texas Tech coming out soon. I'm trying to think of anything else off the top of my head. I think that's it.
Just go to TexasFootball.com.
Just go to the website, subscribe, all that stuff. Subscribe to Texan Live as well. We got playoffs going on, so
Correct.
please do all that stuff. The ladies are working very hard. With that being said, thank you. We'll see you guys on Sunday.